Okay, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back to What She Said Sports, everybody. Okay, hold on one second. All right, so who knows what a feint is? Feint. A feint is supposedly like in boxing. While you looking this way, I'm gonna knock you out from the left. So you over here thinking I'm coming from this direction, but everything is really happening over here and coming from the left. Okay, so that's what a feint is. And the topic of tonight's conversation is, 2 plus 2 will always be 4. There's nothing you can do. You can't run from it. You can't hide it. Facts are facts. That's the point, right? And while everybody's talking about Stefanski doesn't like Shedeur, Stefanski has a problem. Stefanski, something with Gable, he won't let go, whether it's making jokes or discussing it, or it's over for him or this, that, and the other. The point is, nobody's calling for him to be fired like that. If everybody were in unison talking about he should be fired and demanding accountability, he would probably get fired. But because people just want to point it out that something's not right, nothing's gonna happen. Well, maybe. But for now, he's good. Why? Because there's a scapegoat that already got booted out, right? So let's talk about within 5 business days, within 4 working days, 2 people, one associated with Cleveland and the other associated with the Giants, have been relieved of their duties or decided to leave, resign, or whatever. So you got Paul DePodesta in Cleveland. He was decided, we don't know how he came to that decision, but he decided, you know what, I'm out. I'm headed over back to baseball after 10 years. Now, what I thought was interesting is what they told us about him. I knew his title was Chief Strategy Officer. And a Chief Strategy Officer's job is to align with whatever initiatives the company wants to focus on. So if I want to focus on AI, that's what we're going to focus on. If I want to focus on oil exploration, that's what we're going to focus on. Does that sound like a person that's in charge of the culture of the organization? No. But that's what they said about him. The person responsible for the culture of the organization has decided to return to baseball. I'm like, oh, that's a scapegoat because he's not responsible for the culture of the organization. You know who's responsible for the toxic culture of the Cleveland Browns? The one you saw on the field with some kids standing behind him with the number 12 jersey on, and that was not his grandkids. Now, how the hell did that come about? And I've noticed a pattern about the NFL. I'm gonna try to cover myself, CYA, but I'm gonna keep doing what it is I'm accused of doing. And that's highly unusual, right? Normally, when people get busted and they start covering up, or they know that they're gonna get busted, they might get tipped off. The Fed's gonna show up at 5 a.m. Okay, well, I'm gonna put on a clutch t-shirt so everybody can see it and know I ain't going down by myself. That's smart, but you stop doing what it is that has gotten you in trouble. But that's not the Browns. That's not even the NFL overall. It's just cover up after cover up. Paul DePodesta is not responsible for the culture at the Browns, was not responsible for the culture at the Browns. He's the chief strategy officer. What we're going to focus on for the next 10 or 5 years in terms of business and moving forward and growing, that type of thing. Initiatives. But the fact that they said that, and they made it seem like he just woke up and said he wanted to leave. And then they quickly told you he was the chief strategy officer. That's a lie. Now you know why Heisman was on that field on the sideline with them kids with Shedeur jersey on. Where he get them kids from? Come stand over here with me. So he does not appear to have anything against Shedeur. Now Paul DePodesta is gone, and the culture was his fault. But at the same time, Haslam is still discriminating against, Stefanski is still allowed to discriminate against Shedeur. And one thing for sure, just like people thought Haslam drafted Shedeur and arrogantly he came out and told you he didn't. After people saw that photo with who they believe was his grandkids, I don't even know where they came from. I've seen pictures of his whole family. They all blonde. Every last one of them. Maybe an in-law too, but no. Those were not his grandkids. I don't know where he get them kids from. But it's not a coincidence they were standing behind him as if he approves of Shedeur. He approves of Shedeur. It's a photo op. Paul DePodesta gets the blame for the toxic culture. Stefanski's in the clear, so he continues on and has them, allows him to, without you knowing it, because you saw me with them kids that you thought was my grands. So clearly I don't have nothing against Shedeur. So I've moved Podesta out the way. I've already proclaimed my innocence with them kids with them Shedeur jerseys on. Now everybody is piling on Stefanski, but no one is really calling for him to be fired. We're talking about it because it's bad. It ain't like he's listening. But we're not going to ask for him to be replaced right now. And 4 days later, from November 6th to November 10th, 4 freaking days, it's announced that Daboll is fired, supposedly because they went 2-8. And now Jameis Winston is starting. So let me get this right. Within 1 week, I see somebody blamed in Cleveland for the culture. And then the guy who publicly led a character assassination against Shedeur Sanders, the ringleader, is booted out in New York. And I moved to a black quarterback. Did Jackson Dart get hurt? Maybe he did. I wish him well. Have nothing against Jackson Dart. I told y'all, Jackson Dart's people knew what they were trying to do when they benched Russ and put him out there. He was supposed to be the great white hope that's better than the black guy. And he said, I think Russ. That was smart. That was smart. Because guess what? Nobody ever looked at him twice. And he knew what they were trying to do. And Daboll was in on it. Now Daboll is gone. Jackson Dart, maybe, I don't know if he got hurt. I don't know why, but Jameis Winston is starting. While everybody's talking about Stefanski this and Stefanski that, it's so much happening at 10,000 feet in the air. And I said, okay, let me check on the status of Brian Flores' lawsuit. Now, I already knew, and I had a feeling that Brian Flores' lawsuit, once he got the green lights to move through federal courts, would be some type of mechanism to force the NFL's hands where Shedeur was concerned. Why? Because I read his lawsuit and I told y'all it said the NFL is rife with racism towards Black people in leadership, including the quarterbacks. What is Shedeur? A quarterback. What did I say probably a month ago? Brian Flores' lawsuit is being proven every day in the NFL with the NFL's behavior towards Shedeur in the draft and Shedeur in Cleveland, because Cleveland made it a point to show Shedeur every single day, you are not valuable. You are not worthy of being a quarterback, which is exactly what Brian Flores' lawsuit claims. I said that, and I know it wasn't 30 days ago. And we seeing moves. Why? Because when the NFL filed an appeal, when the judge said it's too much evidence here, we're going to go ahead and go through the federal court system. They're like, we filed an appeal. Well, they lost that appeal. And guess what? They got the green light to go to discovery. I just hear applause in my head. They don't want that. They don't want all of that information getting out there. And look at what happened to Shedeur. All Brian Flores' lawsuit publicly being discussed in the courts is going to do is have everybody go, so that's what happened to Shedeur. Yeah. They have 0 Black offensive coordinators. They don't want no more Black elite quarterbacks drafted in the first round, and have managed to somehow rig who the hell is coming out of college. So we don't get to 17 or 32. And now, since I know discovery is on the way, I got to start cleaning up. Podesta, you got to go. They probably gonna give him a golden parachute just to get the hell on, even though he ain't the problem. And while it is, I don't want to be publicly outed as racist, I'm still being racist towards Shedeur, and y'all just think Stefanski's stupid. No, he ain't. He doing what he told. And I'm sure he worried. I'm sure that's why every time you see him, he's in a defensive position because he's decided to be a faithful servant, and I have passed the point of no return. And I believe they're going to protect me. And they're going to protect him so much that they let him get kicked in the public because everybody is looking at him, but nobody is looking at Brian Flores' lawsuit that is now moving through the courts after the NFL filed an appeal and the midterm elections. I have said multiple times, the way things are today, they may not be tomorrow. I have also explained on this podcast that the NFL does everything it can to stay out of the spotlight of the executive branch. And who was just at a game recently, took to the microphone and decided to be a part of the broadcast? 47. The same 47 that had something to say about what was happening to Shedeur. So let's circle back. Jerry Jones walks back his comment right around election day or time. I feel like the election happened, Jerry Jones walked back his comments, or it was all happening at the same time about the fact that he didn't care about the defense for the Cowboys. He walked that back. I was shocked. Yes, people said he was fined $250,000, but money is no object to him because he's a billionaire and he's the richest franchise owner out here in any sport. So that's a drop in the bucket. That's like 2 pennies to us, right? So, but what was more important was that he walked back what he said, because we all know Jerry Jones could do what the hell he want to do. Understand that. But he walked back what he said. That was shocking, right? And then we move on to Paul DePodesta. People were shocked, and they told you who he was. But that had nothing to do with that, right? He had nothing to do with what happened with Shedeur getting drafted. That man had nothing to do with Deshaun Watson getting drafted. Nothing. Because what did Haslam say? Go get me that guy. So unless they trying to say that he was the trusted advisor, because that's the role he plays. He was the trusted advisor, and DePodesta had the bright idea to go ahead and pay him $230 million because all the other teams want him. So you're going to fire him for that this week. Okay. How long has Deshaun been there? When did they say that Deshaun, they took a big swing and miss? That was in March, right? What month is this? And you figure that out in the same week, just days before Daboll gets fired. Discovery. It also explains why it is Method Man is out there taking pictures, why all of a sudden Bucky could film for Cleveland, and why it is Marshawn Lynch is technically a mascot with a camera. To not appear what? The same thing for Haslam on the side with them kids with Shedeur jersey on. To not appear what? So now that DePodesta's gone and he was supposed to be responsible for culture, which he wasn't, why is Stefanski still moving forward with the plan to hold back Shedeur? Because we just going to blame Podesta and they're going to forget about it. They ain't going to forget about this. The NFL is wrong thinking 6 million people are going to look away as they play keep away with QB1 for Shedeur Sanders. Now, I'm going to just say this. The caption of the podcast talks about how defiant, and I use the word intentionally, how defiant the Browns are to recognize Shedeur's talent and ball out with him. I use the word defiant because everybody's trying to say Stefanski's stupid. No, he not. No, he not. It's intentional. And Shedeur gonna be in Cleveland until everybody finds out that the Browns do not want a black starting quarterback who's first round, long-term franchise elite. And then he gonna go. Because see, we keep getting more and more and more information, and everybody's perplexed, and the media got you talking about Stefanski, but they over here cleaning out. So why you over here talking about Stefanski and they not calling for him to be fired? Because he's doing what he's supposed to do, and he knows what the bodies are buried. You can't fire him. You absolutely should, but you can't because you asked him to do this. And at the same time, you still have him on the mission, which is how you know it's above Haslam. He's not the only one. It's all the owners. Understand this about these owners. Yes, they are incestuously close. They do everything together. They decided where it was Deshaun was going to go. They decided where it was Shedeur was going to go. And now that the heat is being turned up, they have decided who got to get kicked out. DePodesta. Maybe because they think most people don't know what a chief strategy officer does. But it ain't the culture, because the culture is still in place. Stefanski is still discriminating against Shedeur to the point where they will probably rather go down and get accused of betting and rigging games than being racist. They do not want to appear racist. And it are doing CYA before they get to discovery, and it becomes evident through discovery that they are racist. So I'm out here doing damage control before discovery becomes a thing. So while everybody's talking about Stefanski, I'm talking about CYA and discovery, because that's the problem. And I myself am not shocked by anything, but it is astonishing to watch people cover their tracks of the crimes that they committed and still commit said crimes. That's a new kind of stupid. That's so arrogant. That means you will not be deterred. You're going to go down with your ship. That's what it means. And that's how you know Shedeur going to be there until the truth comes out. Because if I get rid of Shedeur now and he go to another team and we call ourselves resetting the clock, it's going to be obvious, ain't it? Right around the time that they probably getting ready to set a trial date. If I dismiss him from the team and kick him out the league, he's free to go file his own lawsuit, or somebody, a bunch of people, 400 fans are free to go file their own class action lawsuit that actually ties right into in support with Brian Flores said. The NFL is rife with racism against Black players, and Black coaches, executives, players, leadership, including quarterbacks, which actually explains the entire theory of 17 of 32. They don't want no Black people at the top. The quarterback is at the top. They want to wait for their white quarterback, but they don't want you to know that that's what they're doing. So they using Dylan. Now, this is up to Dylan to decide if he going to allow himself to be a patsy, or he going to apologize to Shedeur for being arrogant, and he going to figure something out. But he is the patsy to keep the seat warm for the white quarterback. The NFL don't want to say that out loud. But the crazy part is they openly discriminate in Cleveland against Shedeur as if they don't care what Black people think. But then I'm collecting all of these Black people to put around and prop up and allow you to see for optics so you won't think I am racist, which is why Cam was drafted first. It also explains why they're trying to derail his career. They didn't want that pick. They didn't want Shedeur. They didn't want Travis. They didn't want Abdul Carter. And they didn't want Cam Ward. They wanted to trade that pick. But had they traded that pick and Shedeur was locked out of the first round and wasn't drafted first round, and Jalen Milroe was pushed down and was pushed to the further round, you would know, oh, they being racist. So this year, they set it up to come out in 2026 so they don't have to make that manipulation at draft time. I've already got everybody lined up where it should be with the cooperation of certain people in NCAA football. LSU over there fighting on how much to pay Brian Kelly that they fired, who was a winning coach. And they said it was because they lost to Texas A&M. Mm-mm. The president, athletic director, and head coach did not get fired because they lost to Texas A&M. Kyra Lacey. I have told y'all that the Louisiana State Troopers escort the LSU Tigers on game day and everywhere else they go. They were all very familiar with the star player, Kyra Lacey. Brian Kelly's response at the press conference was the first tip-off. Then Kyra Lacey's father came out and talked about how Brian Kelly didn't even so much as whisper in their direction after their son's death. And he was quite dismissive at his press conference when they asked him about it. And now he gone. And they fighting over how much they're going to pay him because he was a winning coach. So they're trying to fire him without cause and make a settlement because they don't want you to realize that the president, ED, and head coach got fired. And guess who they went and got to replace the AD? They got a black AD. I said LSU, Kyra Lacey. Now wait till that come back home to roost this way to football. Because I told y'all, Kyra Lacey was found innocent January 8th. Right after the new year, everybody came back to work. It was on the DA's desk. Seemingly, that grand jury that everybody said he needed to hold on for one more day, they somehow knew he was going to be innocent 2 weeks before the draft. The same time Isaiah Bond got arrested 2 weeks before the draft and got devalued and signed with Cleveland for a fraction of the money he would have gotten. So I got Shedeur, Quishon, Isaiah Bond. All went to Cleveland after being devalued. Maybe Kyra Lacey was supposed to end up in Cleveland too, but unfortunately, he passed. But they just knew he was going to make it to the grand jury and be excused. Now, that's crazy. Because normally, you don't know what the hell a grand jury going to do. But they somehow knew, if you just hold on, we got you. How the hell you know that? Because you know that. Because you knew in January, and somebody had the bright idea. Let's wait on that. We could use that. I wonder who that was. So anyway, it's obvious that 2 + 2 is 4. DePodesta have been moved out as discovery is the next phase of Brian Flores' lawsuit, which discusses racial discrimination, how prevalent it is and systemic it is in the NFL, including for the quarterbacks, which is Shedeur Sanders. Now let's see how long it is before Kevin Stefanski pivots from holding back Shedeur. Before he tells the OC, you could play him. Before he realizes, I can't put him down, that we actually are in a pickle barrel, so we have to let Shedeur do Shedeur, or people are going to put 2 and 2 together. While we're trying to sweep up this mess, Shedeur is supposed to be getting ready to play. He's supposed to be getting ready to play, and they were probably going to set him up, but can they? There's several games before we get to the Bears game, which is Shedeur was supposed to play the last 4 games. We already know that Deshaun is going to emerge. At practice, we don't know about the games, and we know they're going to let Dylan ride out, possibly up until the Bears game, and then turn it over to Shedeur. Now, look at where we are today, knowing that there's several games before we get to the Bears game, which is November 23rd, right around Thanksgiving. Let's see what else transpires that makes them decide they better back off for Shedeur. Because Brian Flores filed his lawsuit in 2022 when Shedeur was at Jackson State or somewhere headed to Colorado. And they dragged it out. And it conveniently moves forward after we realized in Cleveland that what happened to Shedeur in the draft was collusion, because we see the same collusion happening in Cleveland. You can't make none of this up, but it's all strategic. And the other lawsuit that's out there that also requested discovery, that's probably going to go after the Brian Flores lawsuit, references the Brian Flores lawsuit. And for people that don't understand how the midterms affected what's going on with Jerry Jones, the timing of him walking back his comments, DePodesta being fired right after the midterms, and 4 days after him, that ball, for one, Mississippi flipped blue. People like, what that got to do with it? Trust me, when I said the way things are today, they may not be tomorrow. I didn't even know that. But Mississippi itself, the state of Mississippi, one of the most racist bastions in all of this damn country, is now blue. Change. Then the governor of New York. Where is the NFL headquarters? In New York. Where is the judge sitting that's presiding over this case? In New York. They need help. So I don't think it was a coincidence that 47 popped out. They need help. I need help to squash that, because now I got to get rid of this person. So while I'm asking for help, while I need help, while I'm insinuating I need help or I got help, I'm also CYA. But the biggest thing I better do is leave Shedeur the hell alone. All of that pressure is probably likely what's going to force their hand to stop with Shedeur. I ain't want to cuss. Effing around with Shedeur, I'm telling you. Now I want you to watch Stefanski. I told you yesterday, pay attention to who's calling for him to be fired. Who have you heard asking for him to be fired on all of these platforms out here? Whether it's a big box channel or whether, no. And even when people last week were calling for him to be fired, well, we're going to have to replace him at the end of the season. Then DePodesta moves on. And now we're just talking about him endlessly. And the Browns have already come out and said they're not planning to replace DePodesta's role right now. They was afraid it was going to be Andrew Berry. Why would I have to promote Andrew Berry? Because he know where the bodies are buried. But if I don't, to avoid promoting him, I'm just going to leave that role empty. So let's see, since they kicked out the one that they said is responsible for the culture, let's see if Kevin Stefanski stopped effing around and discriminating against Shedeur. So let me see what y'all saying so y'all can see if y'all understand what it is that I'm saying, what you should be paying attention to. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? It said, just FYI, Browns ticket games are going as low as $10. I'm not surprised. And that also is pressure. That is also an additional source of pressure. Shout out to Nicole for sharing that. Thank you. It said it's being reported that ticket prices in Cleveland has been drastically reduced because the fans are not attending the next game. Facts. Good. It's about time. It's about time, because so many of them have said they're upset. I'm like, then why do you keep going there? And isn't it snowing? I saw Miss Pilar's story for when Shedeur went to give the car away to the lady, right? And Miss Pilar showed it was snowing. And I'm so glad she's there, because I think she might be always there, but she was there. And it's wonderful to have her, with Shedeur at that time. You need your mother or one of your parents, right? With you when people are trying to actively destroy you. Facts, because that's what they were doing. Now, here's the thing. With Stefanski, people are pointing out he refuses to say Shedeur's name. People are trying to get to the roots of what the problem is. Now, they know what the problem is. These people in Cleveland know what the problem is. Now, the rest of the podcasters, they just talking to be talking. But it's racism. Now, what is the one thing they don't want to appear? Racist. So if people come to the conclusion that that's what it is with some proof and some evidence, that's how he gonna get fired. Because if I had to move off of Podesta, who created the culture, I'm going to have to move off of Stefanski, who's just like Daboll, orchestrating a character assassination, because we don't want a Black franchise long-term elite QB at the helm of our team. And we don't want that to get out. So I'm going to have to move somebody else out the way. Let's see who it is. I told y'all if they seem like they trying to save Stefanski's reputation. It said Tommy Reeves said he will do whatever Kevin Stefanski say do. Right, that's what he got to do. It says, so he may be calling plays, but it's the same playbook. Right, and we talked about that. We actually paralleled the change in Colorado to the change in Cleveland, and it's the same, right? Over in Colorado, Brett Bertelon was supposedly the play caller, but what did we say? It's the ghost of Schumer. It's Schumer. I said it's Schumer's game plan. It's Schumer's playbook and schemes. Now, Bucky came out today. I noticed, I think it was today on his podcast, and he said that while his dad was gone, there were some people that did some things and they shouldn't even be there. So I feel like that's kind of a way to tell us that while Coach Prime was gone, some people were doing some things that, you know, they weren't doing right. They weren't handling business, this, that, and the other, and it's causing some problems in the program. So we don't know exactly what that means. We're going to have to wait and see what the change is, but he's basically signaling that there's going to be change. So when you have, and if it ain't Schumer, I'm going to tell you, that's the only change I'm looking for. And I thought it was interesting. We were talking about mediocrity yesterday, and when Bucky posted, that's exactly what he said. We tired of the mediocrity. And I said, yeah, because Colorado looks mediocre like Cleveland. And, you know, just like in Cleveland, we see that the players, they don't really gel, right? It's obvious that the players in Colorado, except for the group, you know, the little freshmen, they don't really know each other like that. That became apparent when they were in the circle. They don't really know each other like that. And I noticed everybody kind of wasn't, you know, wanting to do it or whatever. Now today, Bucky posted, I guess they back at team meetings and stuff like that. I noticed Caden 22 and 4, which 14 must be Colton Allen. They were all standing together. And then it was just a group of people. And then over to the right, further down the line a little bit, was Juju, number 9, 15, 4, and 15, 4. So the freshmen were all with Juju and Omarion. I said, okay, so they got Juju with the A-team receivers, because I could quickly identify that. Sincere Brown, Omarion, Gibson, and then Farrakhan on the other side, and then Juju was in the middle. And then they had Caden standing over with, well, that's just where they stood. Then they had Caden standing next to 22, which is Dominique Ponder, and possibly 14, who I did not see, was 16, but that don't mean he wasn't out there, because I be moving fast. I only probably had 2 minutes to watch it because I had gone out to eat, and I was like, wait a minute. I hadn't watched well off. They popped up in my feed, so I watched a little bit of it. I didn't even know they were back. So, and JoJo was standing over there. So all of the A-list receivers were standing around, and Juju was standing there. And I think Coach Prime was kind of praising Juju for being, you know, a person that's on an incline. You know, he's going up despite the stuff that's going on, which is what he said he was looking for, not somebody that would be bothered by it, this, that, and the other. So Bucky basically telling us there's change. Coach Prime is, you know, recognizing Juju as a leader. Juju's, and it seemed like all the receivers are around him, like, let me get that ball from you. Let me get that ball from you. And then you could see Caden with, you know, the other guys that are like the 2 to 3 and the 4, etc. So I guess they back and trying to get it together, and they got 2 games left. But then, you know, over here in Cleveland, you have Tommy Rees, who we said is just like Brett Bertelon. He's basically just doing, I said they got him on the hot seat and they gonna fire him instead of Stefanski. So see, they done moved DePodesta out the way. Now they done turned over the headset to Tommy Rees, who's again just like Schumer, game plan, plays, calls, and scheme, playbook and schemes. It's the same thing. And I need Colorado, and if they listen, I need y'all to stop looking like Cleveland. I need y'all to not walk lockstep in Cleveland like it's two trains going down the track at the same speed, and it's two people with their hands outside the window across the tracks shaking hands like they in agreement. I need that to stop. And the moment that stops, Colorado gonna be fine. But they're gonna have to cut that out. And I don't know. I feel like it can't be nobody but Schumer, because I know it's Stefanski on the other side. So that's why it is imperative that Coach Prime takes that out that guy gave him with Pat Schumer's contract being over and keep it pushing. Ignore the narrative to bring him back. Stand firm for your players. No. No. Absolutely not. So, Colorado gonna be okay, but they're gonna have to cut out the virus. They're gonna have to cut the grass because it's snakes in the grass. And honestly, I know a lot of people talking about Coach Prime friends, the positional coaches, but he stuck with Livingston. See, you posted him and Livingston standing next to each other again. They were on a bye week, so I feel like maybe it was an old photo when they just out here reminiscing. But it's just a reminder that Livingston will be back, and that's already gonna be a challenge because I don't think he all that. And he locked in. So the last thing that needs to happen is we have the same OC in DC, because they're going to go right back down the same road with different people. So that's on CU. Back over here to Cleveland. Tommy Rees has to do what Kevin Stefanski said, because Tommy Rees is not the head coach. And I told y'all Kevin Stefanski was being petty when he said, if you play Madden, you call plays. That means he ain't got no power. That's petty. And that's your coworker. That's ugly, right? So let me get back to the comments and see. But it seems like to me the external pressure is going to be what either forces them to trade Shedeur to another team or forces them to back off so he can play these games without malice and ball out and get traded. And maybe they're going to have to stop colluding. That's what I'm saying. But as of right now, they covering their butts, they AZZ, and they still discriminating. When you see them stop discriminating, when you start hearing this team is interested in him publicly for real, not where he could go, but there's some serious trade talks, then things have changed. Because they have a plan, but it's not working out. And the pressure is changing everything. It says, speaking of a cover-up, the same can be said about those men with jerseys for optics, and Haslam seemed to respond to the criticism. He might be a walk-in tightrope until the stadium gets built. Yeah, could be. He gonna do whatever. And he think he could do whatever until that stadium get built. So if those fans stay home for this Ravens game, where's the game? No, the game is where? Where's the game? The game is it in Baltimore? Or what game is the tickets low for? I didn't check. Y'all let me know what this next game is. Of course, I can look it up. Hey, how you doing? It said, remember, they have to make Kevin think they are on his side. They are slowly moving people. Flacco, DePodesta. Right. No, I think Flacco got the hell on. I think Flacco orchestrated that out. See, Flacco been in the league, 18 years? And he up there, right? And that's why I told y'all, Pat Schumer is also powerful too. Understand that. When you look at who these franchises, these people have worked for, have played for, Flacco is like Baker Mayfield, but elevated. Flacco can call his agent, and somebody can look up and see who his agent is. He can call his agent, and I do believe he did, and say, get me the hell out of here. Because he didn't like being benched. He didn't like what was happening to Shedeur. He was like, I'm out of here. You didn't get me off my couch to make me be behind Dylan. You're not going to force me to submit. And he got the hell on. That's what I think happened. That's exactly what I think. And if Andrew Barry's smart, him and his brother will work out something and get Shedeur the hell out of there. Yeah, they're going to fire you, but they're going to do that anyway. So you might as well get the hell on and get it done. It said, good evening. Because if they do something like that, if they orchestrate that, they're going to have a problem making sure it don't happen. So it would kind of have to happen, because we all would know about it. Good evening. It said Jackson Shedeur has 4 concussions in 6 months. And see, if I'm his family, I'm going to sue you, because He wasn't no first round quarterback. First round quarterbacks are expected to contribute. Now, had Jackson Dart been drafted in the second round at position number 40, where he was supposed to be, it was going to be him or Miro. But I knew when it came to the Saints, it wasn't going to be Miro, right? It was supposed to be Jackson Dart. But you see how Chase Daniels said, well, he going to sneak into the first round. Okay. You know he got to play. So what happened? As soon as they drafted him, that ball went on the record and said, Russell Wilson going to be the starter. I said, bullshit. For how many games? Because it ain't for the majority of the season. And you see, they got to go to another quarterback. They're not going back to Russ. They going to Jameis Winston. That's some Cleveland shit. Not going back to the other guy that got you this far, right? So they don't want Russ to ball out. They want Russ out the league. They owe him $10 million this year, and they're going to try to get him out the way because 17-32, and we still colluding against you anyway. And Jameis Winston, they don't expect much of him. You know, he was just in Cleveland last year when they went 3-14. They had Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who was their fifth string quarterback, sitting on that bench. And because they knew they was going to trade him to Philly, they put in Jameis Winston, and the season went straight to hell, and they fired the OC, Tommy Rees. See, they thought when they switched off the play calling like clockwork that most people that are new this year or they fans from last year must have forgotten that that's what happened like clockwork right after Deshaun Watson got injured. So it made it appear that was your job to make sure he was injured. So, you know, now you're going to turn it over to the OC, and you fired the OC? And it's your play calls, it's your playbook, it's your schemes. And now we're seeing it happen again to Tommy Rees after he was petty and said, well, if you play Madden, you could call plays. So he arrogant and ignorant at the same time. That's a deadly combination. People like that, they got to fall on their sword. They irrational. You can't reason with irrational people. He thinks because he a Nepo baby and his dad is who he is and they know the media and they all of this, all of that. And that's how he got that job. Because he got hired in 2020 with a 5-year contract and had no proof of any type of leadership abilities. And now that you see that they nominated Dylan for Rookie of the Week, now you know how Kevin Stefanski got Coach of the Year twice. Given, not earned. So they gassed Dylan up in his head with this nomination, and I'm sure he getting all of the attaboys, and he gonna go out here and get his block knocked off. They don't like him either. He just a patsy to keep the seat warm for their white quarterback that they want. I say let him have it. I always noticed that it seemed it was someone else always following Shedeur. Grossi confirmed it today. PR rep was running interference to keep the media away from Shedeur. I'm not surprised because remember they were talking about why is he talking to the media? And that was actually the fired coach from the Vegas Raiders, Antonio Pierce. And remember Coach Prime was talking to him when he was the Vegas head coach? They were at some conference and he said, please draft both of my sons. And this man gonna sit up here in modern day and time and blame Shedeur for the media coming into the locker room and chasing him down. I'm like, Coach Prime, I don't think you have no friends in the NFL because that's crazy. That's crazy. I'm like, that's scary, bro. I would just have me some college friends and just screw the rest of these people, just keep it business, come scout these kids, and that's it. That's it. It's that as far as Haslam's, don't forget Jimmy's brother, Bill, aka the former governor of Tennessee. Bill has some dark-haired children and grandchildren. Okay, well, that might be his grandkids, but that's not Haslam's grandkids. And those kids are Hispanic, by the way. Not saying he don't have no Hispanic grandkids, but that would be who that would be because his grandkids are blonde. And somebody said, Haslam got Hispanic grandkids. I'm like, I doubt it. I'm like, because he's from Knoxville. Is Knoxville, Tennessee still 85% white? Yeah. Nope. Nope. So let's see. And they trying to get Mendoza. So let's see if they actually do that or they just gonna ruin his career too. When Shiloh Bucky filmed him talking to them after a game, someone always came to him I wonder what they're afraid of. They just like to keep up with Shedeur, like they got to keep a tracker on him, like he problematic. That's so he'll appear problematic. You know, I'm sure that when they saw the footage with Shedeur exchanging jerseys with Tyrod Taylor, that there were people that just cringed because it's the same conversation as Deshaun Watson coming out and saying, I'm going to take Shedeur under my wing. Remember, Tyrod Taylor is suing the NFL. So they don't want Shedeur talking to him. They like, just like they don't want Shedeur talking to Deshaun. So Deshaun can tell Shedeur how to get $500 million. Too late for that. Too late for that. Too late for that. But that's why they didn't want Deshaun coming outside. They didn't want Deshaun nowhere near Shedeur. They don't want Tyrod talking to Shedeur. That's why they wanted to know what Jalen Hurts was saying to Shedeur. I'm like, two black men can't have a conversation without y'all knowing what it is. See, that's the problem. It's almost like what they talking about. It's kind of like having a guilty conscience and you assume that every time somebody comes toward you, you bust it. So you think you're going to run interference and keep these black quarterbacks from talking to each other. That's why I say I hope they got a group chat. They don't have no company issue phones. I'm like, It's a here for the chit chat. NFL needs to wake up. It's 2025. This is why this season is boring. Thank you. Thank you. I told you. It's AZZ. Ignorance and mediocrity. That's all it is. And to me, I don't know what they're going to do next year because they so focused on holding back black starting quarterbacks that they just grabbing anybody. They just getting anybody. You know, they just getting people who names don't sound black. It's 3 people in the top 5 or top 10 that could be Hispanic, they could be Polynesian, they could be this, they could be that, but are they good? Everybody has pointed out Shedeur is better than Ty Simpson and Mendoza. They said Shedeur is still the best quarterback in this draft. So that means when this draft come around, there's another team that should draft Shedeur and make him QB1. Understand, they intend to trade him as a QB2 and bury him behind another black quarterback. That's the plan. But so far, their plans have not worked. And now I have external elevated pressure coming from the federal court system to turn over Discovery. I wonder how long they got to turn it over. So I got to get my ducks in a row. The moment you learn that, you know, your appeal is out the window, you lost, you got to start getting that Discovery together. Now, they could turn it over the last 5 minutes before the deadline. But in the meantime, I'm getting all my ducks in a row. I have 2 lawsuits to fend off Discovery. I have a lawsuit following the draft that has already requested Discovery and probably depositions. And now I have a lawsuit from somebody that still works in the NFL that said we racist. And also Brian Flores' lawsuit mentioned the $1 billion lawsuit they settled for racism. That's 3 within 5 years. So you racist every year. It's systemic. It's been that way. And they are still continuing to lay the foundation for it to be that way in the future. And like I said, the most astonishing part to me, because I'm not surprised by anything, a lot of stuff, is the fact that I see you getting busted and you know you have to answer and cover, but you still discriminating. That is crazy. That's crazy. That's the part right there. I just shake my head to that. I'm like, because we don't know how this going to end. It says Stefanski just might land another coaching job. I could see it since the owners have a close relationship with each other. Not just because they have a close relationship, Ms. Pamela, but because they are trying to preserve his reputation within the organization. Believe me, they don't care nothing about what the media say. And understand, Haslam can put the media on Stefanski and hide his hands. Understand that. Understand that. Understand that. And they can preserve his reputation because, and I think that's what the NFL does anyway, right? I want to take down Shedeur, but the NFL itself is not supposed to be on the record saying certain things and executing a character assassination. You think the Myra family didn't know what is it the GM and the head coach and all them assistants and quarterback coaches had going on? Of course they did. Of course they did. They just don't want to admit. See, the owners want to have plausible deniability. Oh yeah, I didn't know all that was going on. That's why you don't be seeing Haslam that much. He just be popping in and out, and it makes him look like, well, I got people that run the team. Well, his trusted advisor is gone now, ain't he? So let's see who they're gonna blame next. These people is never ending. Fact, it's never ending, and it's crazy to me that they just refuse to stop. I mean, that's just nuts. It said Roger Goodell gave Bucky permission to film certain games because they see how Bucky made Shedeur successful. I believe that, but I will say this: it took them a minute to let him film Cleveland games. I'm not convinced that that's not tied in, because how does it look if I can film the Texans, film the Panthers, film the Jaguars, but I can't film Cleveland? It already looked like they got something against his brother, but now you got something against his brother filming. So yeah, I gotta let him film, and it's not a coincidence of the timing. None of this is a coincidence. I'm trying to make it appear that I don't have a problem with Shedeur. Now, if Kevin want to act like he got a problem, even though we pushing him up to it, that's on him. They know he's a faithful servant. They know he ain't gonna snitch. They know he's not gonna snitch. He knows that he probably gonna get let go at the end of the season. That's a smooth landing. You don't give somebody that acts like that on their own a smooth landing. That's how you know he's not acting independently, but he's not gonna snitch. And the media is gonna keep talking about him instead of talking about Haslam, because that's what they want. They don't want Haslam with people buying tickets for $10 to be the problem, because then that's going to cause next year's season ticket sales to suffer, and so on and so on. This is all strategic. Cover up and keep it pushing at the same time, and shielding the owners. I don't know why the hell they had to fire the OC last year. That was dirty. He ought to just talk about it. According to Turf Wars, Goodell works for the owners. So the most powerful owner is Jimmy Jones of the Dallas Cowboys. Yep. Jimmy Jones betrayed Coach Prime. The owners are staying on code fast. And they also shielding themselves. They're also shielding themselves, because what is the larger media doing? All you got to do is look at the larger media and see what they keep repeating over and over and over. Stefanski, but they're not calling for him to be fired. That's intentional. Now, just like I said, Dylan needs to wake up and go apologize to Shedeur and protect himself and understand that he just a patsy. Guess who the patsy is now? And I said, not probably 3 weeks ago, they gonna do to Stefanski what they doing to Shedeur. Yep. You next. They gonna turn on him. And here's the thing. They already have. The media is just not talking about Stefanski without asking him to be fired, without the owners pushing up the narrative to take the heat off of them. And maybe they email Stefanski and say, look, we're going to have to blame you. Because remember when Shedeur was at the Shrine Bowl, Bucky Brooks, who's black, told Shedeur on camera, well, we have to do this. And Shedeur said, yeah, my dad told me that it comes with it. Racism don't come with it. But Bucky Brooks told him, we have to do this. So it wouldn't surprise me if that's what they told to Stefanski. We have to do this. Now, here's the question. Did they sit down and talk to Dylan and say, we have to put you out here to get sacked 20 times? We have to put you out here to get sacked 20 times just to keep Shedeur off. You think, would he agree to that? Do y'all think Dylan would agree to Stefanski taking him out to lunch with Dylan's fiance and his wife and say, yeah, I'm going to turn over the plays to Tommy Reese. And, we know you're good, and we're going to nominate you for rookie of the week. We're going to make sure, you look good and get some good trade value. But, we need you to take some hits so we can keep Shedeur off the field, because I want to keep you on the field. But that's going to probably come with, getting hit. You good with that? What do you think he would say? I would say, screw you. One thing about them going to get other people to use, and I ain't saying it's a good thing, they stop using us because, I'm sick of the shit. If you sign up for it, that's what you sign up for. That's all I'm saying. Because you ain't got to sign up for it. Another player just resigned. He had a big name too. If y'all know who it is, let me know. But his name came and went, and they said he said he was stepping away from football. I expect to see more of that. You know they talking about Antonio Brown, right? This guy who's always on X talked about Antonio Brown and said ever since he took that ugly hit from so and so, he has not been the same. He said CTE is devastated. I'm like, wow. Wow. You see, everybody should be talking about that story. But because it's CTE and a black player and race Norman in the NFL, oh, he just crazy. So I don't know who it was that another black player, not just any NFL players, several black NFL players have walked away from the game. I told y'all when the draft come next year, I expect somebody that's high profile to opt out and say thank you, but no thank you. I expect more players. I expect Travis 4 years in, 4 years, and that's it. I expect Travis to be, you know what? I'm straight after 4 years. That's honestly, that's what I expect. Before him, I expect other people to say, you know what? It's been a good run. Thank you. I'm out. That's what it needs to be. I was at dinner tonight. I sat, at the bar, and I looked up and they had a hockey game on. I'm like, yep, it's time for some other sports. Not that hockey is probably any safe. I don't know. But the point is, it wasn't no football on the TV, and it really could have been because last time we were there, I think it was football on the TV. So they say Kevin will definitely coach another NFL team in the Browns. They have to. I'm sure they have to promise him something. You have to reward the servant leader some way, somehow, unless before I go before this judge, I got to get rid of him. Their plans, that's their plan to move him on. That's why they're preserving his reputation. That's why they make it seem like it's the media that's saying these things, but the media isn't even calling for him to be fired because we're going to try to get him to another team just to move him out of Cleveland so everything could die down. Well, let's see if it work out like that. Because again, they plans ain't working out. And the pressure is starting to come from all sides. When you got fans not showing up, I'm going to have to do something. Ben said, damn, what she said, sports, there you go again with them turf bombs. Yep, it said they want us to take the eye off the ball. Facts. Obvious what the owners do now. It said, thanks, Brian Flores. Jokes on them. Right. Thanks, Brian Flores. And here's the thing, right? Things are changing. Not just Mississippi, but like I said, New York, that's huge. People don't understand in the legal world how huge that is. That's huge, right? And that's why I said, oh, okay, so that's why 47 popped out. Okay, because they need help. I've said it, I've maintained it from the beginning. They need protection. And I'm pretty sure they were shocked as hell that it was going to move through the courts out of arbitration, and that the court system said their arbitration process is not even a real process. And two, they filed an appeal and still lost in New York with the governor they had. Now they got the other guy, the one everybody seems to be afraid of and trying to do business in a different city. They even said 50 Cent didn't want him to be governor, so he decided, I'm going to go ahead on and build my stuff somewhere else. I'm like, what? 50 Cent has a bar and gallery for his alcohol libations brand, Branson, in the Washington Commanders stadium. That's a stadium deal. But the NFL tries to use Method Man, Bucky, 50 Cent, Marshawn Lynch. We don't have a problem with black people. All of this is about Brian Flores' lawsuit. And it's a class action lawsuit. And one of the teams that's involved is the Denver Broncos, the Miami Dolphins, and probably some other teams. But understand, the Denver Broncos, I can tell that they have that same mentality they had when they told Marlon Briscoe, we know you good. We just don't want you to be our quarterback. Does anybody realize that's exactly what Cleveland did to Shedeur? We know exactly who Shedeur is. We know he's going to come in. We know he's going to work hard, a.k.a. it ain't going to matter because we don't want him to be our quarterback. This ain't 1968, but they moving like it's 1968. And now they covering their tracks. There is no way you're gonna convince anybody that understands how courts and all of that law. You're not gonna convince them that it's a coincidence that Dabal and DePodesta gone from those two organizations. The two organizations. All you got to do is throw in some scandal from the Saints, and God damn it, it's a trifecta. But I don't need the Saints, right? It's just that somebody from the New York Giants squad basically gave this kid proprietary information to run a prank on Shedeur, which was to humiliate him with the phone number that the NFL gave out. So of course I'm going to protect Stefanski, because we had to take Shedeur and put him somewhere. So we chose a graveyard, Cleveland, and Stefanski's the faithful servant doing the work. So we're not going to throw him to the wolves because he did us a solid. That's why I told y'all, Cleveland just want to make it to the end of the year as fast as possible. End of the season as fast as possible. But the pressure is coming from all sides. So they might have to look at each other and go, you know what? I think we're gonna have to let him just let him play. Just not only let him play, just don't mess with the game, because then people gonna be talking. So just let him play his last game and we'll ship him somewhere else. But see, that's gonna start the whole conversation. So you're gonna treat him like he was in Cleveland, but it will get the heat off of Cleveland. I promise you, if them fans stay home for the rest of the game, it's gonna happen. So I got legal pressure and I got fans not showing up. That's a lot of pressure. It said in Turf Wars, the most honest and powerful owner is the Robert Kraft of the New England Patriots. It said, but he won't buck the other owners. Right. Even Coach Prime said, when I heard Coach Prime say the Jacksonville Jaguar people were good people, this is when Travis came for the last time, and then the draft happened, I was like, no. But what did I say? I can collude with you or I can collude against you. This is why they have no black owners. And if they ever are forced to have a black owner due to litigation, because that's probably what it's going to take, it's going to be somebody that they handpick. But honestly, if 400 fans got together in Cleveland and filed a lawsuit, and one of the remedies for the lawsuit was that someone was forced to sell because we're beyond malpractice at this point, we're at systemic racism, we're at, perpetual poor management. One of the remedies should be him to be forced to sell the team. I think Magic Johnson should be the owner of the Cleveland Browns. If I say that out loud, that he gonna be the next owner, people will be like, what? That sounds crazy. I know it sounds far-fetched right now. But if they gotta pick somebody, I think that's who they would choose. Just to get out of hot water. It said, yes, Goodell worked for the owners. It said they pay him in addition to the perks. It said, but Jimmy Jones did not betray Prime. Why you say Jimmy Jones didn't betray Prime? I think he did. It said Kevin will go somewhere just like Brian Daboll is now with the Buffalo Bills. Oh, they felt so sorry for him. Now, I want you to know, what organization did he end up with? The Bills. Who did the player that Shiloh got scapegoated for? The Bills. Where does Josh Allen play? Who they keep propping up and snatching from Lamar Jackson, his MVP? The Bills. So that ball got picked up, huh? Okay. It said Jimmy Jones could have let CP know about the collusion. Plus, CP said someone that he's known since 1985 betrayed him. It's obviously Jimmy Jones. I mean, here's the thing. Even without all of that, Jimmy Jones betrayed him. And you know why? Because even Skip Bayless was like, what? You mean to tell me Jerry Jones, I keep saying Jerry Jones didn't want to get Shedeur for not even $4 million? No, he went and got Joe Milton and blocked Joe Milton just after around the Nebraska game, fawning over Shedeur so much that he was going to wait to see what happened. And you saw what happened with that Nebraska game. Don't forget who the OC was. Everybody pointing out how the right tackle from Colorado is on an undefeated team in Indiana. So people are saying he couldn't be the problem. I'm like, and why is that? And why do you think that is? Because two things could be true. I could be up here good on this team up here, and I could have been making decisions on this team over here. I don't know why people think that, right? I don't know why people would sit up and trick their own mind into somebody who was supposedly all about Shedeur going against Shedeur, but then going to another school and balling out. He's not the only O lineman to leave CU and ball out. It's not a coincidence. It said Brian should be an OC somewhere. He should be at his damn house for what he did to Shedeur. It's that it would be in Dallas and Dylan's best interest if he backed up and allowed Shedeur to start some of the games. I can't understand why Dylan Gabriel can't see that the Browns are destroying him as well. Arrogance is very blinding. Arrogance and money. Very, very blinding. The money made him fall for it. The arrogance is what's keeping him getting pummeled. I don't know what the hell gonna happen with this Browns game, because if they couldn't beat the Jets, and he was sacked 6 times. Juju was sacked 7 times. You see the parallels? I'm telling you. That's why I even said it on the Coach Prime's comments. I said, we need to protect Juju better. I don't want to see Juju get out here and get sacked 7 times. And hopefully over the bye week, they having some real conversations around here. Because see, one thing about it, if you know you're going to make change, if you know some people over there not right, and if one of them happens to be Pat Schumer, because like us, you can see the parallel to Cleveland, and you know the relationship with the two trains going down the same track with Stefanski and Schumer, you have to protect Juju from that until you make that change. In these last 2 games, it is not permissible for him to go out here and get sacked 7 more times each game. That's 21 sacks in 3 games. Hell no. And understand this, right? You're going to lose him if that's what happens. And if you keep Pat Schumer, and I'm thinking he probably already had to commit to moving off of Pat Schumer if Juju was going to walk. Understand this. The game plan for the next 2 games needs to be tailored to Juju's skill set from the first quarter to the fourth and overtime, if that's what it is. I don't want to see no more. I don't know who the quarterback is here. Just go run these plays. No, that's why they lost. That was intentional. They know who Juju is. He's been over there for a whole year or pushing up on it. They got to protect that kid. Because if you lose him, you ain't going to get nobody worth they salt. And your program is just going to be dormant. Understand that's intentional too. That ball didn't get hired. Good. Because he need to be at his house. It said the NFL needs a whistleblower to expose everything. Honestly, they kind of got 5. You got Tyrod Taylor's lawsuit, Brian Flores class action lawsuit. You have the one following the draft, and you have the $1 billion settlement, the lawsuit that was settled in 2021. Again, that's 4 lawsuits in 5 years. That's a lot. And it's probably some other ones you don't even know about. I think what's happening is actually better. I think as we see an increase in Black players deciding to move on from football, to step away from football, probably because they see what's happening to Antonio Brown, and they see how the NFL is handling with the other guys that died. I think it was Adam Schefter posted a post today asking, saying they set up a fund for the young man, Marshawn. Was that his name? Marshawn, the guy that passed in Dallas, for his girlfriend because she was pregnant. I was like, what? He's about, we want to make sure that she's set for life. Somebody said Jerry Jones got like billions of dollars. Why he just don't do it? The Dallas Cowboys got billions of dollars. Why they don't do it? Why are you coming to the public? From the NFL, Adam Schefter. Why are you coming to the public about this? I wanted to ask, did he not have insurance? Then I remembered they ain't married. But I don't think they would have had to be married for him to have an insurance policy for her to be the beneficiary because she's pregnant. So people thought that was just kind of weird. Like they pushing the situation off on the public. I said the interesting thing is they haven't even discussed was he tested, his brain tested for CTE? They don't want to talk about that. That's why I was shocked today When the guy that I follow and I be asking him, so you're not gonna talk about this, you're not gonna talk about that, or challenging what he says or whatever. When he mentioned, uh, I didn't know about the hit Antonio Brown. I never knew the source of his ailments. I just know that Pac-Man Jones said it. He refuses to get tested or get treatment or something because you can be treated. It's still progressive, but you know, it's just like being bipolar. It's progressive. It's gonna be there, but you can manage it. You don't just have to be out here letting your life spiral. And notice they all end up in the hands of the law. And it's like the NFL is like zip because people just gonna think they're crazy and keep it pushing. And that's what it is. With the guy at Dallas, I'm a pass. But did you test his brain for CTE? Every football player that passes should have his brain tested for CTE automatically. It shouldn't even be a question. Because now they're trying to say because black people end up with CTE most and we don't want to appear racist because we steer black people to these positions. Yeah, I think black people get it because you know black people have a high uh congenital heart failure rate. Get the hell out of here. I bet if he went play some other sport that wasn't involved in banging their head up against another human body, that he wouldn't have CTE. They willing to put this on all black people. First, we're not going to pay you for any CTE treatments and testing. We denying this for you because your brain is lower functioning. Now that CTE is real and it's happening to black people more than white people, which is also strange in itself. Yeah, that's because that's black people's health. I would quit. And I know it's the money. I know it's been a dream since they was little, but see, this is the year right here when you picking a sport for your kids. Please go consider lacrosse, tennis, soccer, anything, baseball, anything. I wonder how many times Justin Fields has asked himself, should I have just gone play baseball? Yes. Kyler Murray, should I have just gone play baseball? Yes. Caleb Williams, should I just have gone to a different league? Yes. CJ Stroud, yes. All of those guys that came in from around the time Stefanski was hired, 2020, also when George Floyd passed away, also when the NFL started their social justice campaign that they seemingly have moved off of. They trying to get rid of every last one of them. Every last one of them. And they act like they don't see Jalen Hurts, just like they act like they don't see Shedeur. It's the same thing, dismissive. Y'all ever, you know what Lake Havasu is? Lake Havasu is a man-made lake in Arizona that borders California and Arizona. So I always love to know what was under this man-made lake before you put water in it. It was a town called Liverpool Landing. Liverpool from Europe, colonizers, right? Came to this area. Why? Gold mines. But guess who was there first? The Mojave people. And they pushed them to a reservation that still exists today. This day, took their gold mines, privatized it, and flooded the town. It's just like Lake Lanier. It's trees under there, 30-foot trees under there, because it was a town. And let me take your land. I'm going to flood it and take your gold mine and privatize it and put you on a reservation and let y'all have a casino. Dismissive. Being dismissive of Shedeur, being dismissive of Jalen Hurts is one of the features of racism because you're not worthy of consideration. Now, I'm proud as hell of Shedeur. That, yes, he gave away a car, but I prayed, not that God answered my prayer about this, but I prayed that God would make it so that Shedeur could wait well. Like we know Shedeur is waiting on God, but that he's not waiting in angst. He's not waiting in pain. He's not waiting in depression. He's not waiting in distraught. He's not checking out every week like the two guys talked about because he just can't stand to be there. He likes it there. He's embraced the city. He's 10 toes in. dug in. He's waiting well. His mom is with him. That is a huge part of that. People want to know if he'll sue. Let's see what they do. Let's see how they move. Maybe. I'm sure lawyers have reached out to them. I'm sure they know they got a case that starts with a B. I'm sure they know it's precedence. I'm sure they know about the other cases. But they are with Shedeur while Shedeur waits on God. And that's a problem for Stefanski and the Browns. Because that's exactly why their plans aren't working. See, Jonathan Martin was run off and forced to quit due to racism by Richie Incognito, who was just sitting on here on Gilbert Arenas show that has now been taken over by somebody else. Shout out to having a Talib Ali guy on there or whatever. Thank God he on there. Right? Why is he the voice of dissent on the Black Man show? I don't know. But this is a lesson. Do not be out here doing all this work and they see you and you just hand over the keys. Don't do that. It ain't gonna work out well for you. You weren't in this space. Now you in this space and you want to turn over the keys to people to take down your people. Does that make any sense? All money ain't good money. And all opportunities are not for you. And they truly believe we don't stick together. But they also believe we broke and they know we not. Because they run to us to sell us stuff that is not beneficial, but then we supposed to be broke. You could get a student loan, but you can't buy a house. Now, how the hell can I get $200,000 to go to law school, buy a $200,000 house without giving you a drop of blood? Dismissive. So all those quarterbacks that came in, and I believe they hired Stefanski in 2020, knowing, even if it was before George Floyd, the NFL afterwards pivoted. Because I could have hired Stefanski genuinely in January when COVID started. But then when we got to after what happened to George Floyd and the NFL decided to start apologizing and this, that, and the other and being performative and saying, end racism and social justice, all this, that, and the other. But it's funny how all of a sudden I don't want to do it no more. Screw that. Bye. Take end racism out the end zone. And when they did that in New Orleans, I could see the change in how they were choosing to be openly racist after the Super Bowl. When they took in racism out the Super Bowl, that gave them the green light to do what they did to Shedeur. But then it backfired. Their plans didn't work out because they got exposed. They didn't expect to be exposed. But you know how they arrogant? You got exposed for giving out Shedeur phone number, your damn self, after you lied and said it was the Falcons because Coach Prime used to play there, and you think we dumb and we fall for anything. But these kids recorded it, and we know that the one y'all said made the call didn't make the call. It's somebody from the Giants organization where Daboll just got fired. We not the people who are dumb. You arrogant out of your goddamn mind to still be discriminating against this kid with all of the you getting busted in the draft. Us learning that you plan to put him on waiver wires and nobody can find a suitable trade partner for him. So you got him out here throwing to the equipment managers because they got his phone number too in the email. And they actually had him out here throwing to the equipment managers, which meant they were snickling and lying behind his back because maybe they thought he didn't know about it or they didn't care if he knew. But they were making fun of, we're going to put you on waiver wires, and he's still on the team. Won't he do it? Won't he do it? So, yeah, they have plans to set him up to fail or to exclude him or play him in an obligatory manner. And that's it. I say the last 3 games like Michael Penix Jr. But their plans haven't worked thus far. So let's see what happens. It said, good evening, good evening, good evening. Thanks, Sis, for always doing your research and sharing with us. Thank you, Don Stember. I appreciate it. It says, Shy Sky, ticket prices have dropped twice today. Where are they playing this next game that y'all talking about ticket prices? Let me look. Because I have asked. Look, let me see. It's Cleveland versus the Ravens, right? Let's see. They're playing The Browns on Sunday. Oh, they're playing. I mean, they're playing the Ravens. Excuse me. Oh, they playing at home. So that's the ticket prices y'all talking about. Ah, see. This is the. If the fans really want change, I'm telling you, stay home. If the fans want to be impactful AF, stay home. If it rains, snow, cold, or for some reason you can't, stay home. The low ticket prices are to get you to come out. No. The Carolina Panthers fans left that stadium empty and the tickets was 45 cents. Yeah, a few people went because, you're going to always have a few. But by and large, it was empty and they changed. They had to get their act together. They ended up with a new owner. So the fans have power. Hell, they want the Green Bay Packers coach fired. And they was protesting when they decided to sell all of their tickets to the Detroit Lions fans. Fans have a way of letting their voices be heard. It's time for the Browns fans to finally speak up for themselves. Y'all know how y'all feel. Y'all already was having something called the stay away. Why don't y'all actually implement it this time? Like, don't be that franchise out here that's just holding back the team and you want them to change, but you don't want to stay home. Keep your damn money. What, you allergic to having money in your bank account? Like, come on now. And for those that got it, I'm sure you can find something else to do with it. I'm sure. But everybody in Cleveland don't have it. Understand that. You could Google the average, what is it? The average home, median home income or medium home. You can look up the demographics. Everybody ain't got it. Everybody don't have it. But it seems like that's some kind of status symbol, though. I noticed that. And I get it when things are good and they're doing right, but you don't reward toxic behavior. It said hot. It said Greg Brooks Jr., LSU, brain tumor, Kelly, never addressed his family. Ryan Clark interview, lawsuit in place. Yes, yes, yes. I think I saw a little bit of that documentary. That Kelly dude is a piece of work. It said, never mind, a whistleblower might end up in a ditch. Right. Most whistleblowers do end up deceased. It said, Ryan broke down after this baby left the room. Yep. LSU kept him playing. That's what I meant by these players. There's enough out there. There's enough out there. And if you tell yourself, okay, look, I got to get to this money, because I really do feel like that's what it is. Because there's nothing stopping you from going start your own. The fact that you keep gravitating towards this, which, here's the thing, no one out here, even if it's from our beloved players from Colorado, none of them have a reason to sign up for this draft. All of them can put their own resources they got together and just go out there and play and stream their own games and start from there. Build your own. I have asked, is it because y'all don't want to build it because it's going to take time, so you want instant gratification? Do you know what you are sticking your hand into the fire? When you keep getting shown the Antonio Browns or the kid like the Marshawn or the kid at LSU, and you keep signing up for this. Even that young lady who used to be the prosecutor in LSU said, stop sending your Black athlete football players to LSU. They don't care for these kids. She said it out loud. And she right there on the ground. And they just gonna sign up again. I'm like, at what point do y'all not do this? What is it really gonna take? Because I would think after Shedeur, that should be it. That should have been it. Because it had already happened to Lamar. So it seems to me they're gonna have to get excluded at the quarterback position, and then the running back still gonna show up. It's like they all gonna have to somehow get excluded, and it could happen. If they get next season like they want, mediocre, and people keep showing up, I don't need y'all no more. See, the NFL believe, and it's documented, that they need the Black players' athleticism. And they decided when they got to Michael Vick and a little bit before him that they wanted that athleticism at the QB. Now they don't want it no more because it's too many of them. They taking over. And that's all it is. It's not anything complicated. Very simple. There are too many Black starting quarterbacks for their liking. So I will put Mendoza above you. I will put Dillon in front of you. I don't care if you elite. Of course, I know, but I don't care. Just like they didn't care that Shedeur balled out with the Panthers game, but they still set him up. Cam Ward better go get tested because they over there trying to kill that kid. He got a 24 QBR and they don't care that they invested $48 million. They don't care about the money. It's funny how the league don't care about the money. And that's what the players coming from. So they'll expend any amount as long as it ain't guaranteed. I'll and wave it in front of your face like a carrot because it ain't guaranteed. But look at what the players have to risk. Quality of life. And no amount of what happened to Shedeur, no amount of discrimination, of racism, or CTE is deterring these players. Well, some. Because now we have the players that are already there tapping out. I'm waiting for this draft for somebody that's high profile to say, you know what? Nah. It's like they want to act like they're on autopilot, that they have to do this. And people want to say, but I've been playing this game so long. And hell, I went to school for a long time, but eventually I don't go to school no more. I graduated and moved on to something else. And that's what they have to do. But they act like they can't do it. Okay, at this point, it is 2025. We live in a social media age where even athletes that play a sport, regardless of what it is, have something else going on. In the NFL, they don't even want to celebrate the celebrity of their own Black players. It has to be Josh Allen, or it has to be the Mannings, or it has to be Jackson Dart. But it can't be Spencer Rattler. It can't be Shedeur, and he got his own celebrity. But let me suffocate that. It's like they want to antagonize him until he quits. And maybe that's what they wanted, to run him off like Richie Incognito did Jonathan Martin, because these are not new plays. It's just that Richie Incognito was caught on voicemail. Ain't no telling what communication they got over there in Cleveland that they done caught up talking about that they don't realize. It's what's going to be the downfall, and it's going to be Stefanski. And all of this could have happened already if people wanted to look into it, but don't nobody want to look into it. But the pressure is still coming, despite people not looking into it. They still get busted to the point they got to move people out the way. And for Jackson Dart to be hurt like that, is that serious that you don't have a Black quarterback that you willing to kill the white one? And what's the message for white quarterbacks? What's the message for the Dillons out here? What the hell is wrong with y'all? That y'all would sit there and let them abuse you like this just so they could keep a Black player off the field? You know that's what it is. That's why they get certain people. Regardless of race, they get certain people who are willing to submit to being used or being ostracized. Could this possibly be CTE? Yeah, hell yeah. I hate to say it, but a lot of times that's what it is. And the fact that they trying to excuse it away and put it on Black people's health overall is insane. It says Shedeur gonna play versus the Titans. They gonna need the ticket sales. Oh, we gonna see. It said what the took double. What's that? What's that, Pat? It said newly fired New York Giants fired head coach is already being talked to for a head coaching job at Penn State. That's on them. Nikki Sofit, how you doing? Understand, going from NFL to college, it ain't no prize. And it might not even work out over there. So believe me, I told somebody this. They said, well, he still got paid $30 million. I say it ain't about the money. See, people don't realize it ain't about the money. It is for the Black players, but for these other people, these people that's been making this kind of money, it's not about the money. It's about the power to control. It's about the influence to disrupt another person's life or to make the decision or to be the decision maker or the trendsetter. They took that away. They took away what he wanted, like he took away what Shedeur wanted. That's lost on a lot of people. No job at Penn State will make up for being the head coach of the second highest valuation and most popular franchise in New York for football. Nothing. That's a demotion. That's karma. He took away what Shedeur wanted. And they did it because they knew he wanted it. And they took it from him, which was evil. And now you out. And ain't nothing going to replace that. Not even going to the Dallas Cowboys and being the head coach because they don't even want to win. Everybody trying to feel sorry for him. And I said it, why y'all coddling these races? It's disgusting. That's why I say to the black players, find something else to do. If you're coming out of school, find something else to do. Because now you know what it is. See, I said yesterday, before this year's draft, did these players know what they were signing up for? Did they know it was really like this? And I heard somebody said that they didn't know. They don't know until they get there. This ain't what you thought. That you're going to have to go along with this once you sign your name on the dotted line. You have no choice unless you retire. Try telling that to your wife, kids, an expensive dog, and your family, and your expensive house, and your luxury, the trappings. That's the whole purpose. That's the whole purpose. But you have to ask yourself, is it worth your life? Is it worth your dignity? Is it worth your self-respect? Because you could play football anywhere and you could build your own. I told y'all about 7 years, it's going to be like, you still in the NFL? That's just crazy. We're at the beginning of it. We're on the cusp of that sentiment. But isn't Cleveland playing to tank? No, Cleveland is not tanking. Cleveland already has a first round draft pick. They already have the number 1 overall pick because they traded Travis away at the number 2 pick. So Jacksonville had the number 1 pick for 2026 and they got it. Now, if the team was tanking, they would be clearing house with the players and not with the chief strategy officer. When the Jets are tanking, exactly what the Jets are doing. I'm holding my quarterback back and not letting him throw over 100 yards. I done got rid of my best players because I'm cleaning house so I can get me some more people. The Browns didn't even make any major moves. The only moves they making are off the field because they in CYA mode. Whether that was Haslam's brothers, grandkids, the point is that was for optics. He could have told them, don't come out here with that on. We don't know who it was, but it was definitely for optics. It said Cleveland Brown tickets start at $6 to $8. Is at free yet? Is it free? Not yet. 45 cents. It can go to 45 cents. It said, if I'm the Browns, I'm going putting Shedeur in for garbage time this Sunday if it's a blowout. I'll leave Shedeur out there. Matter of fact, I'm gonna be honest with you. If he don't play, don't be surprised until we get to they absolutely have to let him play. Here's the thing. Dylan has been sacked 17 times. I'm not trying to see Shedeur put in that situation like they did him, the Rams. Whether it's intentional or your O-line is trash. They don't even like him. And what's going to happen to him? And yeah, I know Shedeur can get out of some things, but what did Coach Prime say? Use them check downs because everybody else is using them. But he going to have to, just like Juju. I told you it's a parallel. It's the parallel here. Juju and Shedeur going to have to keep themselves safe. They said the tickets to the Browns game are going to be cheaper than a meal at McDonald's. Now that's saying a lot because McDonald's can get to $12 real fast. It said, what is the next home game after the Ravens? Let's see. The next home game after the Ravens. Let me see. It goes. They're going away for the Raiders game. And then, hold on 1 second. The next home game is the 49ers, November 30th. Check the tickets for the November 30th. What's that? After Thanksgiving? So Sunday the 23rd, before Thanksgiving, they go to Las Vegas to play the Raiders. Then after Thanksgiving, they come back home to play the 49ers. They play the Titans also in Cleveland. Now, what are the tickets looking like for that game? That's December the 7th. It said fans should not show up at all. That's what I say. Just stop showing up. Like, why you feel like you got to show up? I don't like the way they're moving over at the Pat McAfee show. I'm just saying, to me, they are seeming more and more to be a part of this mess on the media side. Just been connecting my own dots. Oh, really? I mean, don't be surprised, because that is ESPN, right? Browns currently have the number 4 pick behind the Titans, Saints, Giants, all teams that passed on Shedeur. And yeah, because they want to run it back for this year. The game is in Cleveland. Yep. It said Kevin is getting fired eventually, but they should fire him now. But they're gonna wait till the end of the season to probably move him somewhere else. Is his contract up? I feel like his contract is up. Titans and Giants already fired their head coaches. Yep. It's rumored the Browns will lower the ticket prices to $9. Oh my gosh. And they'll probably rather do that. Because here's the thing, that's one game, right? That's one game. What did I say? They made $110 million off of gate receipts. So that's the whole season. So they ain't worried about one game. I mean, I'm curious to see exactly what pressure point gets touched that they stop. Because now the ticket price is going down, which means the fans are like, we out. Then I got these legal troubles coming my way. I'm over here cleaning house, CYA, this, that, and the other. The media in Cleveland and podcasters going in on Stefanski, trying to get to what his problem is. And I don't want him to say it. I don't want nobody to know we don't want the black quarterback. I don't want nobody to know that. I don't want nobody talking about we committed insurance fraud for Deshaun Watson. I don't want nobody to know that Deshaun Watson's contract was given to him because he asked for a trade, and it was some white players who were married that gave him the phone numbers of the ladies, and we didn't want them to get in trouble. So it's a whole lot they don't want to happen, but they still being arrogant. So God gonna just have to keep on leaning. Just keep on leaning. I just want to see what the pressure point is. I want to see when they scream for mercy. I want to know what it's going to take to get to that. It said the pressure need to be kept on the Browns. There you go, Joyce. There you go. It said none of the rookie QBs in this draft on Shedeur level. Right, T-Voltage? That's what people are saying. Hell, Shedeur better than the next ones. It said there's no real pressure on the Browns. The owner got his stadium. Oh, that's false. That's false. They got legal troubles. They got legal troubles. And see, here's the thing. He got to make it to the stadium first. He got to make it to the stadium first, because if the wrong stuff come out, he might not make it to the stadium. The way things are today, they may not be tomorrow. There's absolutely no guarantee he will still be the owner by the time we get to 2029. I'm sure the Washington Commanders owner went into the year thinking he was going to be the team owner in perpetuity. And guess what? He was forced to sell his team because of a congressional hearing. Isn't the NBA supposed to be having a congressional hearing? And I told you Mississippi just flipped blue. So, anything's possible. I'm telling you, they have a pressure point. I just want to see what it is. So, no, they have pressure. That's what I meant by people really don't understand what's going on. While they looking at Stefanski, they're not looking at Brian Flores' lawsuit and where it landed or where it currently is, or the status and what it means for the Browns, and Daboll and DePodesta both being moved out within days of each other. And Shedeur was discriminated against by both teams. Who's on Shedeur level in the upcoming draft? Nobody. It said Dart will be like Tua if he don't be careful. Dart and Dylan. I said they trying to Tua Dylan. I said they are trying to Tua Dylan. That's why I told y'all Tua was trolling, because he knew they was trying to get rid of him. Seems like Miami was just tanking so they could having justification to fire their black GM, and now they winning. Let's see who they play next. I don't know. It says, is Mendoza really all that? No. It said no stadium without the fans. Right. It said Daboll put Dart at risk to save his job. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? NFL is behind this mess. Facts. They knew Dart wasn't like that. They knew Dart couldn't carry the team by himself. That's why I said, okay, the Giants getting a whole lot of karma coming their way. That's how you know they were the culprits in the takedown of Shedeur Sanders. This was their idea, right? And the NFL played a part in it because they gave out the phone number that ended up in the hands of the old Miss fella. And don't forget, it's a whole family back there that ain't nobody mentioned. That's real quiet. But they the reason Jackson Dart is in New York. They are supposed to be the reason why Arch Manning was supposed to end up in Cleveland until things didn't go as planned. See, things not going as planned with all of the people that were involved. The Saints are the ones that are seemingly quiet because maybe they never really were going to get him and they ain't really do nothing. It's just the New York Giants seized the opportunity. But again, who's influential in all three franchises? Whose son dressed up like Jackson Dart? Who went to Ole Miss? You know who went to Ole Miss? Arch Manning, Eli Manning, Jackson Dart, the GM himself, I do believe, and his daughter. That's who's in all of this. So Daboll got the boot because he decided to be like Stefanski and be a faithful servant and do the dirty work while they keep their hands clean. Daboll and Stefanski in the same situation. And the fact that they don't want to push out Stefanski, remember who Stefanski's dad is. Now, I know they done had some conversations. Oh, y'all think y'all going to do this to my son? Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a price that's going to come with that, right? Because I probably helped my son get the job, but I ain't nothing about all of this. But to me, Stefanski just going to end up like Daboll. It's just they don't want to humiliate him. It said the fans will pack that new stadium no matter what. Probably. It said Mendoza has an O-line like Dylan had at Oregon. Is Sellers hurt? I don't know. Lenore Sellers? I don't know. But ever since he got concussed, it's been quiet. What happened to Castellanos? I'm sure something to keep him out the conversation. Hell, what happened to the kid at Arkansas who they said was a Heisman candidate, the black kid? I ain't heard no more about him. What happened to him? All I'm hearing is Mendoza. I'll tell you who it is right now. Top QBs in college football. Because I looked this up. Let's see. The leaders for the season. Now, the leaders for the season may or may not be seniors, but let's see who's at the top of this list. All right. I got Julian Sayon. I'm going to share this so y'all can see it. I'm going to share this. Yeah, they intentionally, I feel like they did to Shedeur what they did to Lenore Sellers. They knew he was coming out at number 1, and they set it up to where his draft stock would fall before he got out of school. For Shedeur, it was sacked excessively. For Lenore Sellers, it was concussed badly. And he had to be out. So you know what that does. Okay. Here we go. So we have the season leaders right now. Julian Sayin, Ohio State. Jaden, this is somebody, USC. I haven't heard much about USC. Jaden Maiava, Gunnar Stockton, Fernando Mendoza, Taylor Green. That's the black kid. I haven't heard much about him. Diego Pavia, I think he was fighting to go back to school for a 7th year. Luke Altmaier, Trinidad Shambliss, he's black at Ole Miss. Haynes King, y'all know who that is. CJ Carr, Devin Dampier, CJ Bailey, and Ty Simpson. They said Shedeur is better than Ty Simpson and Mendoza. And then Brendan Sorsby, Jake Retzloff. That's crazy because he ended up at Tulane very quietly. And Varcel Reed, Carson Beck, Darian Mensah. He's also black. I feel like he might be the one that might shock me and not go through with the draft, but we're going to see. Desmond Williams, Damon Williams at Washington, and Cameron Brown at Gast. What's Gast? I don't know. Georgia State. Is that Georgia State? Damn, they quarterback on the top 20 list. Understand. Oh, that's BYU quarterback. Bear Bachmeier. Understand. Caden was number 15 when the season started. You don't get to number 15 when the season started and be trash. Understand it. So let's go over here to the weekly and see who it is that let me make sure y'all can see my screen because I'm thinking y'all can. Okay, just making sure. All right, so here we go. Week 12, weekly leaders. Who is this? Drew the Shields is that Kent State or Kentucky? I don't know what school that is. I don't see the logo. Tucker Gleason. So it's just for the week. But for the season, those are the people for the season. And I want to see who's leading the SEC. Is it Trinidad Shamblers? Let's see. Let's see. The SEC week 12 season. That's the season. Let's see. I got to go back. Oh, this is the SEC. These are SEC quarterbacks. Yes. Okay. So Gunnar Stockton is leading the SEC. Then Taylor Green from Arkansas. That's the black kid. They said they thought that was going to be on the Heisman list, but he's not on the list. Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt, Trinidad Shamblers. That's tell you. Ole Miss got 2 black quarterbacks. That shot the hell out of me. Let's see if they get that same kind of love from the Mannings. Ty Simpson, Alabama. Marcel Reed, Texas A&M. I think he's black too. Joey Aguilar, Garrett Nussmeier is number 8. Bo Cutter, John Mateer, Arch Manning. So Arch Manning is number 12. So with a 63 QBR, he's not coming out this year. He'll be back next year. Lenore Sellers is at 14. DJ Lagaway at 15. They fired their coach. So that probably messed up his season. And Jackson Arnold. Oh, Auburn. Okay. So those are your guys. Now, let's see who's in it for the Heisman. Let's see. Top Heisman candidates. Because this time last year, it was 2024, it was Shedeur. Oh, is it 2025? It was Shedeur last year. Top Heisman candidate 2025. All right. Let's see. Who's at the top? Top 5 trophy candidates. Let's see. 2025. Sports Illustrated week 11. Let's see who they got on this list. All right, here we go. They have. All right, let me know if y'all can see this part too. Okay, hold on one second. They have. It's spinning. Hold on one second. I think it was Mendoza. Let's see was first. Who is this? Mid-season Heisman Trophy contenders. Okay. Oh, they got Ty Simpson. Okay, so ESPN got Ty Simpson and Sports Illustrated had Mendoza. So Ty Simpson is currently the favorite front runner. Then there's Carson Beck at Miami mid-season. Then Fernando Mendoza, that's 3. And Jaden Maivia at USC. And then Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver for Ohio State. He's not a senior, but neither was Travis. But okay, I got it. I don't think he's coming out though. So yeah. So there you go. These are going to be the names that you hear in the draft. Ty Simpson, Carson Beck, Fernando Mendoza, and Jada Maivia. Now, out of all of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, not one of them are black. Not one. When the season started, it was Lenore Sellers, Nussmeier, Arch Manning. You see how that's drastically changed? That's what happened when it was Shedeur and Cam. They were like, before the season started, they were ranked number 8 and 9, respectively, going into the season. But this is mid-season. So this is just where Shedeur was when I showed y'all that top ranking with him number 1 in the mock draft. Because if you look at the mock draft, all of these guys that are seniors, that's who's going to be the 1, 2, and the 3 in the first round. And as y'all have pointed out, the same teams that were 1, 2, and 3 last year that passed on Shedeur still have an opportunity. But you would think Tennessee can't get no quarterback, right? Because I got Cam over here and I paid him $48 million. Now, it would behoove them to try to win with him, but it's more important to ostracize him and get rid of him because we didn't want him in the first place. I told people they did not want him. The NFL didn't even talk about Cam until the damn draft. And Tennessee made their mind up about Cam the week of the draft, the 2 days before the week of the draft. So like a Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, and then it's draft week. People were upset by that. They said he was good. Why wouldn't you want him? I'm like, why don't you just say you know what it is? And that's why these things are allowed to take place, because won't nobody say it. They just get mad, but they don't want to call it what it is. They don't want to hold these people accountable. I'm like, so if you coming out of school, you know what it is. You can't say you don't know what it is. But they have said in the past that these kids didn't know what it was until they actually darkened the doorstep and signed their name. Because, they sign their contracts and then they get involved. And that's when they learn, oh, you're here to submit. You're not here to change nothing. You're not here to have no wants and say-sos. You do as you told. And shut your mouth, basically. So, you know what it is. You know what it is, and you can't say you don't know what it is. Because you saw. And I told y'all there were people that felt like, what happened to Shedeur was his fault. That's what they wanted you to think, but now it's not. And there are people that still think that. They're gonna find out the hard way. Because Cam told Shedeur told Cam, they're gonna come after you too. This ain't what he meant, but they did. They eventually did. So while everybody's talking about Stefanski and not calling for him to be fired, it should let you know that they're gonna try to preserve his reputation. They're going to try to get their white quarterbacks. Stefanski might be there next year. They might, in my opinion, they should probably hire Tommy Rees, but seem like they're going to scapegoat him. And if they do, I'm going to tell you why. Because he was the only person to work for the Browns to come out and be positive and say that Shedeur was doing what we asked him to do. And he's good. He's doing good. Nobody else has said that other than the players and Tommy Rees. So that's what it is. So going into a mock draft for 2026, who they got number one right now? Number one, they have Ty Simpson. Is that Ty Simpson from Alabama? And they think the Jets gonna end up with him. They said the Tennessee Titans gonna take a linebacker. Somebody, Alvaro Reese. Yeah, so it's not a quarterback going first this year. The Saints going to get Fernando Mendoza. So remember all of that talk about them getting Nussmeier's son? Now they supposed to get Fernando Mendoza. That's interesting. That's real interesting. That's number two. Number three, the Giants supposed to get a wide receiver, Jordan Tyson. And Cleveland Browns are supposed to get Ty Simpson, quarterback from Alabama. And number five, Dante Moore, quarterback, going to the New York Jets. Interesting. So that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Dante Moore, the Jets, Ty Simpson, Cleveland. But what does that do for the Manning kid coming out next year if they get Ty Simpson this year? That's why I'm going to believe it when I see it. I'm going to believe it when I see it. I'm just glad it ain't Dante Moore. Dante Moore could end up with the Jets, but again, I don't know their situation. I don't know. They might be like the Browns. I don't want no black quarterbacks, but hell, they got two. So, but do they want to win with them? See, that's the question. And they actually finagled this draft for the first time probably in a long time. There's no black quarterback in the first round. You know how long that's been? They succeeded once again. They did it with Shedeur in the draft. The 2025 draft. And now they got it set up in college where they coming out. I don't have to do what I did to Shedeur. I did it in college. And that's going to be what they try to do. That's what they plan to do for the foreseeable future. Yep. It said Jimmy will fire Kevin, hire John Gruden and make Andrew Barrett executive. Oh, Lord. And John Gruden needs to stay wherever the hell he at because he wanted to be proud and racist against black people and they features. So no, if you get kicked out the league for racism, you need to stay out. There's too many good coaches out here to keep recycling problematic people. That's what I don't like. That's what makes me not like. I almost wish I didn't even know it existed because what are you doing? It's too much talent out here. You're trying to keep the circle small with the same toxic people, but you don't want the league to be considered toxic. You're trying to keep the same people you kicked out for racism, invite them back in, but you're trying to pretend by sprinkling all these black people around that you're not racist while you are actively being racist. I don't even sweat Shedeur and I started. The Browns suck. I totally agree. I'm like, I'm good with it. As long as he happy, I'm good with it. And he's posting more. So Shiloh's the blueprint. Shiloh's the blueprint. It's that I don't know why the Browns drafted him, because they was forced to. They were forced to. Once they draft minimum in the third, why draft Shedeur? Because they were forced to. What did Haslam say? There was a phone call and all the right people were in the room. It said Jimmy saw money drafted Shedeur. That's why his grandkids was wearing Shedeur jersey. Them ain't his grandkids. Those are not his grandkids, and they don't care about the money. They don't. That's what people don't understand. The league they don't care about the money. They care about the philosophy or the ideology that they have. They care about, I've been fighting black quarterbacks all this way. I ain't giving in just yet. That's what they care about. The Giants didn't even want a black quarterback to lead the team, and now they got to go with Jameis Winston because they don't want to go with Russ. So they got to go with Jameis Winston. You know why? Because they kicked out the other dude. They sent him, I think, to Vegas or to the 49ers. DeVito, when it was preseason, DeVito had to play, right? Because you got to show what you can do to determine if I'm going to keep you or not. That's the whole thing with Deshaun in the 21-day practice window. If he practices good, I might keep him on the roster, or I might put him back on the injury list because he can go back on the injury list. But you know, I keep saying, what's the priority? If the priority is 17 to 32, then you know, I don't want to get to 17 black quarterbacks. And this is the second time. If this draft plays out just like this top 5 we just talked about, the mock draft with all of these people and none of them black. I think maybe Dante Moore to the Jets, but I forgot what number he was. But if he number 5, that's not first round. First round is going to be at the most probably 3 quarterbacks. 4 if you stretch it. But it ain't going to, how many was it last year? 1. It was supposed to be 2. So at the most, I'm probably going to get 3 quarterbacks at the most out of this first round. And the top 3, none of them are black. This is the first time this has happened. It's not a coincidence. They like, I got away with it in the draft. So now I'm getting away with it now. I'm going to get away with it in the 2027 draft because you know who's coming out in 2027. So this is where these black quarterbacks going to have to ask themselves, are you just going to settle for what you get? Or are you going to go build your own? It said Michael Penix Jr. basically said he had no coaches to rely on the sideline during games. Right, because his coach want to stay in the booth. Understand, his OC came from the Pat Schumer School of play calling. When I want to take the team. Even the diehard Falcons fans were complaining about it. So I just told them what it was. I said, oh, he must have went to the Pat Schumer School of play calling and he trying to tank the team so Michael Penix Jr. don't win because, you know, 17 to 32. I know they was like, huh? It's a lot of people that's like, what? Yeah, they going to see. It's just going to take a minute, but they'll catch on. They was like, remember that chick? She said that. Uh-huh. What she said, sports. It said you got to have the cooperation of the media to pull off what's being getting away with. And they do have the cooperation of the media. Why? Because the media wants access to the players and the NFL wants to control the media. So I'm going to give you access as long as you say what I tell you to say, which is why Ryan Clark got to keep walking shit back, which is why he just don't need to say nothing else. If you just don't walk it back, NFL was part of the collusion. It said, remember the whole draft did record numbers because of Shedeur. Right. They knew they didn't want Shedeur before the draft, but they tried to lure him in thinking he was going to go first round to some team, including at latest Pittsburgh, so he would show up in Green Bay. And what was said the morning of the draft when he didn't show up in Green Bay? It's a good thing Shedeur didn't show up in Green Bay because he's locked out of the first round. there is no justification for that kid being locked out of the first round. Other than 17 to 32. I don't want him to be a starter, which is why they are fighting it so hard, playing keep away from him becoming a starter. That's what the draft was about. I don't want him to be the starter. When you lock somebody out of the first round and the first round is inherent QB1 starter, especially at the top, like Cam, you see he the starter. They ain't want him, but they had to let him start because I paid him $48 million. So if Cleveland would have drafted him at number 2, he would have had to play. Y'all know Pittsburgh needed a quarterback. He would have had to play. So they locked him out of the first round so he won't become a starter. So they put Stefanski on him to make sure he doesn't become a starter. So if they give in to him starting, I'm telling you, it's because it's obligatory and they're going to mess it up for him so he doesn't appear to be a good starter, because what's going to happen? The same thing that happened after the Panthers game. He was a 5th round pick. They don't want that conversation to be renewed. So look for the play. I've been fighting him becoming QB1, a starter from the draft. That was the whole point of it. And now I'm going to just give in. Is that why Stefanski said it's speculation that he going to play? Because they wouldn't be surprised if they just cut him and said, we don't have nobody that could get you. It just wouldn't surprise me. Don't play him, waive him. Don't nobody have nowhere for him to go. Nobody need a quarterback. And like Shiloh, he's out the league. And they think that's going to be enough to move on from what they did. I think that's going to open up some protests with fans not showing up. That's what I think. I think it's not going to go the way they thought. But I'm telling you, they fighting him because they don't want him to be a starter. They don't want him making surgical throws. This ain't just about, and if they could pin it on Stefanski, they probably would. Well, because all the media gonna run and do if he get out there and ball out. They already know what they're gonna say. Oh, Stefanski, that was him. They gonna shield Haslam. But see, the owners locked Shedeur out of the first round so he wouldn't be an inherent QB1 on any NFL team. So if he get traded, it ain't going to be a QB1. And that's going to start a problem too. So they probably plan to do like they've been trying to do since rookie training camp. They've been trying to cut him. Let's see if it worked. I don't think it is, though. Pressure points. It's that, yep, just like the draft interview, lie. Yeah, they just straight lied. And people want to talk about Dabao, this, that, and the other. I'm like, based on what he did to Shedeur, to hell with him, and let him stay at home, because he single-handedly destroyed that young man's draft opportunity. The draft is supposed to be a celebration. And he decided to pre-draft with this young man over and over and over to act like we're interested in him, but he's not that good. They ought to sue him personally. It said Dillon will not become the agent made deals to get him drafted. Oh, Dillon will not, because the agent made deals to get him drafted. Yeah, they all worked on that together. Understand, Lanning was good for his program. Now he got Dante Moore. Again, did Lanning know that Dillon was going to get sacked like this? And what is he planning to do with Dante Moore? These kids need to pick these schools carefully, because they hated Shedeur because he's black. And now they got Dante Moore over there. What are they going to do to him? It said Arizona getting rid of Kyler Murray. Yep. And when did he get drafted? 2019. Y'all know why they drafted Kyler Murray first? Y'all know why they drafted Kyler Murray? The year before was Lamar Jackson's draft. And there was a GM for the Indianapolis team, Indianapolis team, which is why I don't get excited all about that woman running down there and acting all involved. I'm assuming maybe, somebody that worked for her father or somebody said that Lamar Jackson would be a better wide receiver or running back or whatever. I think it was wide receiver. Than he would a football player. And at the same time, they were colluding against him. They had taken his test scores. They used to take a aptitude test called what the hell was that test called? It don't exist. Well, they don't use it no more. Anyway, it's this test that they had them to take that was supposed to predetermine if they would be a good quarterback or not. Well, after Lamar Jackson, I never knew if he sued or not, but something had transpired because just like right now, they started to cover themselves. One, they got rid of the test. They got rid of the test. That was number one. Number two, what was the second thing that happened? Oh, they said Lamar Jackson was too short to be a quarterback. He had a mental slight, which means he wasn't capable of thinking and being cerebral. All of these things. And then they tried to pressure him somewhere else. They humiliated him. That's just plain and simple. That's what they did. It's the same thing they did to Shedeur, right? Lie. Just lie. So the first thing they did the next year was draft somebody that was actually short. Lamar Jackson is 6'3". If I say I'm discriminating against you because you too short, then I'm gonna go get somebody that's short to say I'm not right. So just like with Shedeur, they gonna next year get somebody, and I'm thinking is all signs point to Dante Moore to put on a pedestal or something and say, yeah, we're not racist. Because that's the play. They've done this so many times. Again, exactly what they did to Shedeur goes back to Marlon Briscoe. Yeah, we know Shedeur gonna come in. We know what he's about. We know this, that, blah, 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 blah. Most important position on a team. We're not gonna use his draft stock to hold him back. And it did exactly that. And basically telling him, we know you good, but we don't want you to be our quarterback because you black. So maybe Mendoza's supposed to smooth that over. Or maybe it's really going to be Ty Sampson. Or maybe it's going to be Dylan next year with Shedeur sitting behind him again, trying to waste his time like they did Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So by year 3, I trade him and boot him out the league. They have done this so many times. How do y'all still believe those were Jimmy's grandkids? Said it ain't his kids. I don't really care. Somebody said it. So y'all say Jimmy Handsome got his grandkids. I was like, that's what they said, but I don't believe it. I was like, I don't think that's his grandkids. That was everywhere. Everybody was like, that's not his grandkids. I don't know who said that and who put that out there, but that was crazy. That was insane. Who were they? Who knows? I said, this is what I said. I said it's probably some local partner of theirs. Their sponsors, one of their sponsors. That's their nieces and nephews. And Jimmy was like, yeah, come on down on the field with me. I like them jerseys. Come on down here. and then, I don't know. They probably never see him again. I figured maybe it's the local Ford dealership, the GM over there. And are there a lot of Hispanic people in Cleveland? I think I looked up the demographics. It's like Black people and white people, maybe with a few groups of people, unfortunately, that fall into a category that's all kind of lumped together. But I figured it was a sponsor, and them kids was over there, and he was like, come on down here with me. Photo op. Photo op. Oh, that was Jair Alexander. He'll be taking a break for mental. They've been doing him wrong. See, that's good. No point in risking your life for CTE for people that's already doing you wrong. The hired help. Yeah, somebody. Mental health people is real. Yeah, so is CTE. I was just happy to hear somebody else talk about it. But the crazy part is they know exactly when Antonio Brown's personality began to change. And you don't hear nobody talking about how devastating CTE is, how prevalent it is in Black players. But the NFL already got a talking point that says, it's Black people because, their history. That's why I was shocked that the person that talked about it actually talked about it. Shocked to hear them say CTE is devastating. I mean, I do wonder, like at Colorado, because, that's school we follow. In all these colleges, are they talking to these players about CTE? Are they talking to these players? Are these players signing some kind of waiver that says, I agree to play football knowing the dangers of CTE? It's no different than big tobacco. having to do certain things to put the warning that this is hazardous to your health. I think that's kind of crazy that doesn't exist, considering how devastating CTE is. And all of these kids are not going to the league, and you're going to end up with CTE for what? This has to change. And I personally believe that if the if football, the sport of American football in college, are not predominantly Black, that they would talk about it. But it's like we're expendable, or the players are expendable to them. Y'all a dime a dozen. That's why y'all rotate in, rotate out every 3 years. The Commanders were actually accused of overpaying white veterans before they had to sell their team. All of this stuff is documented. If you like to read it. So I don't know what they tell these kids, but they need to do something, because it seems to me it's just the Black players being tossed out into the streets and, oh, he crazy. No, he not. He got CTE. And yet, and I hate when people say they love the game of football. Then go build your own and play it. Just go out there, get you some friends, and go out there, y'all play it and stream it and protect yourself. You can actually play flag football. I don't know why. I don't think the part of football that I like is them ramming their heads into the other person's body. I think it's seeing quarterbacks who are talented, like Shedeur, like with the Baylor game. Unfortunately, he was sacked 8 times, but that's not the part that I like. The part, like, he knew the right side was giving way, so he rolls out to the left and makes a Hail Mary, and it works in the rain. Overcoming challenges and odds, not being sacked excessively, and setting these kids up for CTE, and that the positions that get CTE the most are the ones that the Black players play. These players got to figure something out. Those that can't refuse to listen feel. That's all I'm going to say. No way Travis needs a team that knows how to use him. Coach Prime tried to show them. They didn't want to win with Travis. That's what people didn't realize. You had to be like, I started watching Jacksonville. And I remember when they played, I think it was Kansas City, they took Travis out and let Kansas City score. And then a few plays later, they put Travis back in. I said, wait a minute, y'all taking him out at the critical times. And I was like, God damn it, they want, what's his name? 17-32 for them. They want him to be the star of that team, even though he's not good. So even though they went and got Travis number 2, I told y'all that was not for Travis. That was to humiliate Shedeur. The first thing I said when they gave Shedeur the 12 was what? So they gave Travis Shedeur money and gave Shedeur Travis jersey number. That was a message. They expected Travis to be submissive until he decided he wanted his $30 million up front and got it. Now, we ain't using you a lot. We denying you what you want, to play the game of football. It's going to always be something. By the way, good evening, good evening. It said nobody hires Stefanski as a head coach, in my opinion. Somebody will hire him. I don't know about as a head coach, though. It said ship him to college. I don't want nobody to college. No, just no. No, these kids are too young and too impressionable for that. If you don't believe me, look at what's happening at Colorado with the NFL over there. And I'm not talking about the positional coaches. I'm talking about the same people that Bucky was talking about, even though I don't know who it is, that were comfortable with the mediocrity, comfortable with losing. I say no. It said, yeah, not as a head coach, but he will get a job. And he'll get a job somewhere. They'll give him a golden parachute or something. No college wants him. He more like JV. Yeah, no, just go home. Stefanski is the OC, just like Daboll, McDaniels, not leaders of men, just play callers. He's not even a good play caller. He's not even a good play caller. How many of them are on the files list? Nah, that I figure that's for the owners. I figure that's for the owners. I figure that's for the owners, Shy Sky. It said we need 100 likes, please. Thank you. T Vultures, that's funny. It said everything that happened was pre-planned. Facts. It said, it's telling the truth. Keep it coming. Yeah, we need our own league. I totally agree. I'm honestly, we talked about this yesterday. Now I'm getting ready to wrap it up. 254 of us, hit the like button, please. I want Shiloh and whether it's Shiloh, Shedeur, or whoever, but involving Shiloh if he really wants to play football. I want Shiloh to start his own league, and I never said it had to be tackle. If we're gonna talk about CTE, I'm not going to suggest he start 11 on 11 tackle football. I'm going to suggest that they play flag football, that they start their own league because of the athleticism that they have. It would be exciting. A lot of these NFL teams, like the Jaguars, actually have flag football teams that you don't even know about because it ain't where they want it to be. But they gonna get it there. So I say, why not just go do your own before they come do it for you? And then once again, you're under their control. You're under their thumb. You have to submit. I don't understand why people say, well, I've been playing football so long, I just want to keep playing football. Good. Go out there and get you some friends and y'all play and then stream it and make some money before they come do it for you. Because if they start a G League, it's over for black players. That's where they're going to be at. It said my vote is still for Rihanna as an NFL team owner. Oh, Lord. Okay. All right. That's a good one. I never thought about that. She just bought a soccer club. Her and A$AP Rocky just either bought into a soccer club or bought a soccer club. So they're not even into American football. And remember, she's not American, right? Isn't she from he is, but isn't she from Barbados? And shout out to Rihanna, her Fenty Beauty and the other Fenty, I guess the other line valued at $3 billion. Pretty damn good. And now they just invested in a soccer club. A lot of athletes getting into soccer clubs. Angel Reese, Juju, what's her name? What's Juju's name? The one that date Jaden Daniels, the girl that go to USC. She's invested into the Boston Soccer Club. Atlanta just got a new soccer club owned by the Falcons. I'm telling you, there could come a time that people just pivot to flag football and they already own soccer clubs. It's that A$AP Rocky has been reported to be part of an investment group looking to buy the English football club. So they want to buy an English football club. Doesn't LeBron James have some kind of holdings in what's it called? A premier club. What the hell is that club? Arsenal? It said while there are rumors of Rihanna possibly attending matches if the deal goes through. So, yeah. Okay. It said Rihanna snaps back at LVMH, which owns a bunch of luxury brands, and buys a $15 million soccer club. Wow. Okay. Okay. So I don't know what the hell been going on with Louis Vuitton, but I remember, well, I say Louis Vuitton, but LVMH. I do know at one point they made her some type of brand person, and then they gave it was some kind of business deal. But apparently, while she was becoming a mother, something must have happened, and she decided to take back ownership of her brands, and now she went and invested in this. They went and invested in this soccer club. So they pushed Magic out of LA after I thought Magic Johnson was. When you say LA, are you talking about baseball or are you talking about football? It said LeBron, once they got LeBron, they like, we don't need you no more. Oh, you talking about the Lakers. Okay, because doesn't Magic Johnson have like part ownership in the Commanders and the Dodgers? Something like that, the Dodgers. So he's the shoe-in for NFL franchise, and I think it should be the Cleveland Browns. It says, I know that's right, Jimmy Jones. Yeah, that's what I kept saying, Jerry. It said Jerry wasn't getting Shedeur. He was at one point. It's my Kevin Stefanski is a DEI hire. Kevin Stefanski is a Nepo baby all day and probably tells people that. Everybody knows who his father is if you know basketball. That ball. Hey, how you doing, Kiel? It said Rihanna and A$AP just a soccer team. Yep. It said he may have the coaching job at Penn State. Good luck with that. It said a real life water boy, fake QB whisperer. It said they lured the Sanders family in. Yeah, they did. So they could humiliate them and show the world that Coach Prime don't have no influence, so no need you running to Colorado. Shedeur is not going to be whatever he need to be, so no need you running to Colorado. And black quarterbacks in period. But see, the part about the black quarterbacks overall, see, that got lost. And people didn't realize when they were kicking out Shiloh and scapegoating Coach Prime and holding back Shedeur, see, they thought it was about the Sanders family. They didn't realize at 10,000 feet elevation or 25,000 feet, this was about the Sanders family football legacy versus the Mannings football legacy. See, the Mannings legacy is older, and they were trying to revive it or rejuvenate it with the grandson or the nephew coming out of college, but those plans didn't work out. So they're going to wait till next year. They don't want Shedeur to be who he is in the NFL because they want that for the Mannings. That's like I heard this guy say, it's somebody that y'all know that's famous, but I put him in my stories. He said, they study us to try to emulate our culture. They spend big bucks to study and recreate our culture, to sell it without us. So that explains Jackson Dart and the chain in the hat. Yeah, bring that swagger over here. But Shedeur, that's who he is naturally. But I don't want it from you. I want it from you. Sure, I want everybody talking about the NFL, but with the Mannings. I want to see them on the commercials. I don't want to see Shiloh. I don't want to see Shedeur. I don't want to see Coach Prime. And then Coach Prime is greatness, even in college. Because if you just look at how they were able to take people who really, kind of just a hodgepodge of people and still turn up and go 3-0 that fast, they had to shut that down. And then there's something else about Coach Prime's program that they truly want to shut down, but they don't want people to realize why. I'll see y'all Friday at members only live stream, and I'm going to tell you at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm going to tell you what it is. All right, so I'm going to get myself out of here and get ready for tomorrow. I'll be back. I'm telling y'all the definition of a feint, F-E-I-E-N-T. They all want y'all to look this way while the punch comes from over here. Everything that's happening at the high altitude is what they don't want you paying attention to, and it's all pertaining to, and it's evidence for Brian Flores' class action lawsuit moving through the federal court system. Now they're at the stage for discovery. All right, so I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. Just got this in too. So again, we got some new stuff. I dropped some new stuff last night. Go over to whatshesaidsports.com and check out the new merch and use my code NOLAGIRL at checkout. All right, y'all. Have a good night. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. Don't forget to subscribe.